The 7 members of the Galactic Council floated in their meeting chamber high above Centaurus Prime. The room was made of living crystal that hummed with ancient power. Each species had ruled the stars for thousands of years before humans even learned to make fire. The Veil spoke first, their thoughts flowing like water into every mind present. They had no bodies, just clouds of glowing mist that pulsed with each word. The humans have sent another request to join the council. A harsh grinding sound came from the Chronari representative. The silicon-based creature's crystal body reflected the chamber's light in sharp angles. This is their 15th request in 10 years. They do not understand the word no. Perhaps we should explain our reasoning more clearly, suggested the Etherian, its form shifting between solid and gas with each breath. They are still young. They might learn patience given time. The swarm's 1,000 voices spoke as one from their collective mass of interconnected beings. We have observed them for 300 years. They will not learn. They only grow more dangerous. Ambassador Thax of the Rigelian stood on his 4 legs, his scales shifting to deep purple, a sign of concern. Yesterday they announced they've developed faster-than-light communication without using subspace. That should have taken them another 1,000 years to discover. Exactly our point. The Veil pulsed brighter. In 3 centuries, they've gone from riding animals to bending space itself. No species has ever advanced this quickly. It is unnatural. The 7th member, the ancient machine intelligence known as the Archive, projected statistics into the air. Human technological advancement rate, 347% faster than council average. Military innovation, 512% faster. Population growth across colonies, 200% above sustainable projections. The Chronari's grinding voice grew louder. They fight among themselves constantly, yet unite instantly against any external threat. They are chaos incarnate. I have walked through their minds, the Veil admitted, their mist form darkening with discomfort. Where other species have order, humans have a storm. They hold 20 contradictory thoughts at once and somehow function. They love and hate with equal passion. They destroy what they build, then build it better. It is disturbing. The swarm clicked in agreement. We tried to establish a hive connection with voluntary human subjects. The experiment failed. Their individual minds are too strong, too different from each other. Each human is like a separate species unto themselves. And yet they cooperate, the Etherian observed. That is what makes them truly dangerous. Chaos that can organize itself. Ambassador Thax pulled up a holographic display. Last month, the human colony on Kepler 442b was attacked by pirates. The humans didn't wait for military support. The colonists, farmers, teachers, doctors, grabbed whatever weapons they could find and fought back. They won. They shouldn't have won. They enjoy war, the archive stated flatly. Analysis of human entertainment shows 67% contains violence. They make games of conflict. They study their own wars for fun. The Veil swirled anxiously. When the Zephyrin plague hit their outer colonies, they didn't quarantine and accept losses like any sensible species. They worked without sleep for weeks, sharing research freely between competing corporations. They cured it in 40 days. The Zephyrin plague had killed entire civilizations before. They are infected with hope, the Chronari said. Even facing certain death, they believe they can win. It makes them reckless, Yamison. It makes them innovative, the Etherian corrected. When we told them their first FTL drive design would take 200 years to complete, they built it in 12. They simply refused to accept it would take longer. The swarm's voices harmonized in worry. What happens when they surpass us? With their current rate of growth, it will happen within 2 centuries, maybe less. They claim they want peace, Ambassador Thax said. They claim they want to explore, to learn. The Vorgath claimed the same, the archive reminded them. Before they consumed 3 systems and had to be stopped. The humans have the same hunger, the same relentless drive. The Veil pulsed with decision. Then we vote. All in favor of the isolation protocol? One by one, each member signaled agreement. 7 votes. Unanimous. The humans will be contained to their home system, the Veil announced. Interdiction fields will be placed around Sol. Any ship attempting to leave will be destroyed. They can keep their planets, their moons, but they go no further. They will resist, the Etherian warned. They cannot fight what they cannot reach, the Chronari replied. The interdiction generators will be placed in deep space, cloaked and shielded. By the time they detect them, the field will be active, the archive calculated. Estimated human response, anger for 2.3 years. Attempts to break through for 6.7 years. Acceptance and decline within 50 years. Historical precedent suggests contained species focus inward and stagnate. Ambassador Thax's scales shifted to a sad blue. I liked them. They made interesting music. Sentiment has no place here, the swarm clicked. This is about survival. The galaxy has been stable for 10,000 years. The humans threaten that stability. The veil began to disperse, signaling the meeting's end. Send the message. Tell them the Council has reviewed their application and found humanity too young for membership. Tell them to focus on their own system, to grow in wisdom. Do not tell them about the interdiction field. Let them discover it themselves. 3 days later, the interdiction field activated. Humanity woke to find themselves trapped. Their colony ships hit invisible walls in space. Their probes dissolved when they flew too far from home. Their messages to the stars went unanswered. Captain Maria Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the UNS Horizon, watching the debris of their probes scatter against the barrier. Full scan, she ordered. I want to know what we're dealing with. It's an energy field, Captain, her science officer reported. Completely surrounds the solar system. We're sealed in. Can we break through? Not with any weapon we have. It's not just a barrier, it's like space itself ends there. Maria stared at the invisible wall that now defined humanity's prison. Send a message to Earth. Tell them the Council has shown their true colors. Back on Earth, the United Governments met an emergency session. The President of the Americas stood before the Assembly. They fear us, she said simply. They fear what we might become. So what do? Asked the Prime Minister of the European Federation. The President smiled, and it wasn't a pleasant expression. We do what humans do best. We adapt, we overcome, and we prove them right to fear us. You want to break out? No, breaking out is what they expect. They're watching for that. The President pulled up a holographic display of the solar system. I want to know why they trapped us. What makes us so special that 7 ancient civilizations united against us? And more importantly, what are they so afraid we might discover? Dr. Chen Wei, Earth's leading physicist, raised his hand. The field itself might be the key. It's containing us, yes, but it's also creating unique conditions. The space-time curvature inside the field is unlike anything in normal space. Meaning they may have accidentally given us a laboratory where we can do things impossible anywhere else in the galaxy. The Assembly murmured with interest. The President nodded. Then we have work to do. If they want to keep us in a cage, let's make it the most advanced cage in the universe. When they finally check on us, I want them to realize their mistake. Outside, the stars continued to shine, but now they seemed more distant. Humanity had been judged and found too dangerous for the galaxy. The Council thought they had solved the human problem. They had no idea they had just given humanity the motivation it needed to become everything they feared. 50 years had passed since the interdiction field trapped humanity in their solar system. Earth looked different now. Giant towers reached into space, connected by streams of energy that painted the sky in ribbons of blue and gold. Mars glowed with city lights. The moons of Jupiter hummed with activity. Dr. Chen Wei was old now, his hair white, but his eyes still sharp with purpose. He stood in his laboratory, buried deep beneath the Antarctic ice, watching his team work on equations that seemed to bend reality itself. Run the test again, he ordered. His granddaughter, Lisa Chen, now his lead assistant, activated the quantum field generator. The air in the test chamber shimmered, twisted, and then something impossible happened. A cube appeared to be in 7 places at once, all of them equally real. Stable for 30 seconds this time, Lisa reported. The interdiction field is definitely affecting local space-time. We can do things here that would be impossible in normal space. Chen Wei nodded slowly. The Council gave us a prison. They didn't realize they also gave us a unique laboratory. Above them, in Earth's capital, the Human Unity government met in a chamber designed to confuse alien sensors. The walls were lined with a material that scattered scanning beams, making it impossible for outside observers to see what happened within. General Ahmad spoke first. The Veil tried to probe our minds again yesterday. Our psychic shields held. Good, replied President Sofia Martinez. How many of our people have undergone the consciousness expansion procedure? 40% of the population. By next year, we'll have 60%. The consciousness expansion was humanity's answer to the Veil's telepathy. Instead of one mind that could be read, each human who underwent the procedure had their consciousness spread across quantum states. They were still themselves, but now existed in multiple dimensions at once. It was impossible to read a mind that wasn't entirely in one place. And the Dyson sphere? The president asked. Chief Engineer Thompson pulled up a holographic model. It's not just around our sun. We're building it in folded dimensions. From outside, it looks like nothing. But we're harvesting energy from 17-dimensional layers. The council checks on us every 6 months, General Ahmad noted. What do they see? Thompson smiled. Exactly what they expect. A dying civilization using up its resources, turning inward. Our camouflage satellites show them fake images. As far as they know, we've had 3 civil wars and our technology is regressing. Perfect. Let them think we're destroying ourselves. The president turned to another figure. Professor Kim, what about the quantum consciousness transfer? Professor Kim, a small woman with intense eyes, stepped forward. We can now back up human consciousness and transfer it to different bodies, artificial or biological. Death is becoming optional. And the reality mathematics? We're learning to convince particles they want to be somewhere else. It's not teleportation exactly. It's more like we're having a philosophical argument with reality, and winning. Outside the solar system, the rest of the galaxy continued its slow, steady pace. The council met once every 5 years to discuss trade routes and minor disputes. They occasionally checked on humanity, saw the fake decline they expected, and congratulated themselves on their wisdom. The Chronari ambassador reported to the council. The humans appear to be fighting among themselves again. Their radio signals show conflict and resource scarcity. As predicted, the Veil responded. Without room to expand, they turn on each other. Should we offer humanitarian aid? The Etherian suggested. No, the swarm clicked. Let them sort out their own problems. Any interference might give them hope. They had no idea that the radio signals were carefully crafted lies. The real communication between human settlements now happened through quantum entanglement, invisible to council technology. On Europa, beneath miles of ice, Dr. Sarah Kim led a team working on something that would have terrified the council. They were building ships that could exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Traditional FTL won't work inside the field, she explained to her team. So we're not going to travel through space. We're going to travel around it. You mean through other dimensions? Exactly. The interdiction field only blocks normal space, but thanks to the field's effect on space-time, we can access dimensions that are usually impossible to reach. On the asteroid Ceres, another team worked on weapons that didn't destroy, but instead convinced matter it had never existed in the first place. On Titan, scientists developed shields that worked by agreeing with attacks that they had already happened in a timeline where they missed. But the most important work happened on Earth itself, in a facility that didn't officially exist. Here, a group of the brightest minds worked on Project Oracle, a massive quantum computer that could calculate probability across infinite timelines. What do you see? Asked Director Wang. The operator, connected to the machine through neural implants, opened her eyes. They glowed with an inner light. Something is coming. In 23 years. Something from outside the galaxy. What kind of something? Death. Hungry death that consumes stars. She blinked and her eyes returned to normal. The Council's ancient weapons won't stop them. But ours might. Director Wang immediately sent an encrypted message to the president. Within hours, humanity's secret leadership convened. So we have 23 years to prepare for an invasion the rest of the galaxy doesn't know is coming, the president summarized. The council trapped us here, General Ahmad said. Do we warn them? Would they believe us? The primitive, violent humans warning about a threat only we can see? The president shook her head. No, we prepare, we build. And when the time comes, we'll be ready. Ready to defend ourselves? Ready to defend everyone, including the council that imprisoned us. The room fell silent. Then Chief Engineer Thompson spoke. That's very human of us. Yes, the president agreed. It is. They feared us because we're unpredictable. Let's be unpredictable in a way they never imagined. Let's save them. Over the next months, humanity's hidden progress accelerated. Ships that could fight in 17 dimensions. Weapons powered by paradox itself. Shields that made attacks uncertain about whether they wanted to hit or not. But the greatest achievement was the completion of the consciousness network. Every human who chose to could now link their mind to a vast collective while maintaining their individuality. They could share knowledge instantly, feel each other's emotions if they wished, but still be themselves. It was not a hive mind like the swarm, but something new. A choir where every voice was distinct but harmonious. Lisa Chen stood with her grandfather, now over 100 years old but kept vital through nanotechnology, as they watched the first-dimensional ship phase in and out of reality. "We're going to surprise them, aren't we?" she said. Chenwei smiled. "Oh yes." They wanted to contain human chaos. Instead, they've given us 50 years to concentrate it, refine it, perfect it. "Do you hate them for what they did?" the old scientist considered. "No, they acted from fear. Fear of change, fear of losing control. It's understandable. But they forgot something important about humans." "What's that?" "We're at our best when things are at their worst. They thought trapping us would make us weak. Instead, they've made us into something they never imagined possible." Above them, the stars twinkled beyond the invisible barrier. The council slept peacefully, thinking humanity was safely contained. They would soon learn how wrong they were. The first Devourer ship appeared at the edge of the galaxy like a wound in space itself. It was massive, the size of a small moon, and it moved with a hunger that could be felt across star systems. Where it passed, stars dimmed and planets turned to ash. The Veil were the first to encounter it. Their scouts, beings of pure thought and energy, approached the vessel to communicate. They never returned. The last message was a psychic scream that drove 3 telepaths insane. Ambassador Thax stood before the emergency council meeting, his scales flickering through every color of panic. "The outer colonies are gone. Not destroyed. Gone. The matter itself has been converted into something else. Strange matter," the archive confirmed, projecting horrifying data. "These entities consume normal matter and transform it. The process spreads like a virus. If it reaches a star, the entire system is lost within days." The Chronari ambassador's crystalline form vibrated with fear. "Our weapons do nothing. Energy beams feed them. Kinetic weapons are absorbed. We tried ramming them with a drone ship. The ship just disappeared into it." "How many are there?" the Etherean asked. 17 ships so far, more appearing every day." The archive paused. "At current rate of expansion, they will reach the Council core worlds in 6 months. We must unite all our forces," the swarm declared, their 1,000 voices shaking. Every ship, every weapon, they tried. The combined fleet of the Galactic Council, 10,000 ships strong, met the Devourers at the nexus point. The battle lasted 4 hours. The Council lost everything. The Devourers grew stronger, feeding on the destroyed vessels. In desperation, the Veil reached out with their telepathy, trying to contact every advanced species for help. Their minds touched the Sol system and found something unexpected. Instead of the dying civilization they expected, they found a psychic wall so complex they couldn't understand it. "Something is wrong with the humans," the Veil reported. "Their minds, they've changed." "We have bigger problems," the Chronari ground out. "The Devourers." The chamber's communication system activated suddenly. Every screen, every hologram, every neural link displayed the same thing: the symbol of United Earth. A human woman appeared, older, wearing a simple black uniform, but her eyes held a sharpness that made even ancient beings uncomfortable. She spoke in perfect council standard. "Greetings, Galactic Council. I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. We need to talk." The Veil pulsed with outrage. "How did you break through our communication blocks?" "We didn't break through. We went around, just like we've been going around your interdiction field for the past 5 years." Sarah's expression didn't change. "But that's not important right now. We know about the Devourers." "Impossible," the Chronari said. "You're trapped in your system. Our bodies are. Our sensors aren't." Sarah pulled up a display showing detailed scans of the Devourer ships. "We've been watching them for 3 weeks. We know what they are. We know how to stop them." The swarm's voices harmonized in suspicion. "Why would you help us? We imprisoned your species." "Yes, you did." Sarah's smile was cold. "For 50 years you kept us in a cage because you feared what we might become. Congratulations, we became it anyway." The archive calculated quickly. "You're lying. No contained species has ever developed past their imprisonment. No contained species was human." Sarah's image shifted, showing Earth. But it wasn't the Earth the Council expected. It glowed with power, surrounded by structures that hurt to look at, geometries that shouldn't exist. "You see, your interdiction field had an unexpected effect. It created a pocket of space-time where the laws of physics are negotiable. What do you want? The Etherian asked. Full membership in the Council. Recognition as a sovereign galactic power. The immediate removal of the interdiction field. And an apology. Never, the Chronari ground out. You're still the chaotic, violent species we contained. Yes, we are. Sarah's smile grew wider. And in about 5 months, we'll be the only chaotic, violent species left in the galaxy. Because the rest of you will have been converted to strange matter. She let that sink in. You have 72 hours to decide. After that, we'll assume you've chosen extinction over cooperation. And we'll protect only ourselves. The transmission ended. The Council erupted in arguments. The Veil tried to break through human mental defenses by force. They found themselves facing not one human consciousness but millions linked together, each supporting the others. It was like trying to break an ocean with their thoughts. The Chronari attempted to hack human systems. They discovered human code that didn't follow any logical rules but somehow worked perfectly. Programs that ran on paradox. Security that protected itself by not existing until it was needed. 40 hours into the deadline, the Devourers reached the mining world of Kepler 442b. The same world where human colonists had once fought off pirates with farming equipment. The Council watched in horror as 3 Devourer ships approached the planet. Then something impossible happened. Space around the Devourer ships twisted. Not just bent, but folded into shapes that shouldn't exist. The ships tried to move forward but found themselves going backward. They tried to consume matter but found the matter was already somewhere else. A human fleet appeared. Not arriving through hyperspace or warp. They just existed where they hadn't been before. Ships that flickered between dimensions, solid one moment, ghostly the next. The human ships fired. Not energy beams or missiles, but something else. Beams that convinced the Devourer ships they had already been destroyed in another timeline. Weapons that argued with reality about whether the enemy existed or not. The Devourer ships fought back, releasing waves of strange matter conversion. The human shields activated, not blocking the attack but agreeing with it that it had missed. The conversion waves passed through empty space where the human ships statistically weren't. In 10 minutes, 3 Devourer ships were trapped in pocket dimensions, locked in infinite loops where they consumed themselves over and over without ever dying or escaping. Admiral Chen appeared on the Council's screens again. That was a demonstration. We can stop them. You can't. 20 hours remain. The Veil spoke for the Council, their pride warring with survival. If we agree, how do we know you won't conquer us? You don't. Sarah was blunt. But consider this. We could have left our system any time in the past 5 years. We stayed because we were preparing for this. Our quantum computers calculated the probability of this invasion 23 years ago. We've been getting ready while you've been congratulating yourselves on containing us. You knew and didn't warn us? Would you have believed the warning from the violent, chaotic humans you'd imprisoned? Silence, here's the truth, Sarah continued. You were right about us. We are violent. We are chaotic. We are everything you feared. But the universe is violent and chaotic too. You've spent 10,000 years trying to make it orderly and safe. But safety made you weak. Order made you predictable. The Devourers aren't here by accident. They came because they knew you couldn't stop them. The President of Earth appeared beside Admiral Chen. Humanity offers the galaxy a choice. Accept us as we are, dangerous, unpredictable, but powerful. Let us be your chaos, your violence, your unpredictability. Or face the Devourers alone. The Council had 18 hours left. The Devourers had consumed 3 more systems. The choice was no choice at all. We accept, the Veil announced, their mental voice heavy with defeat and fear. Good. Admiral Chen nodded. Deactivate the interdiction field, all of it. We need full movement. Done. For the first time in 50 years, the barrier around Sol System fell. What emerged horrified and amazed the galaxy. Ships that shouldn't exist. Technology that violated every known law. Humans who had transformed themselves into something between organic and quantum beings. By the void. The Etherian whispered. What have you become? Admiral Chen's answer was simple. What you forced us to become. Now let's save the galaxy, and then we'll discuss that apology. The combined fleet met above the ruins of Sigma Draconis, where 17 Devourer ships fed on the corpse of a dead star. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UNS Paradox, a ship that existed in 7 dimensions at once. Around her, the Council fleet waited nervously. They're afraid of us, her first officer, Commander James Park, observed. Maybe more than they fear the Devourers. Good, Sarah replied. Fear keeps them honest. She opened a channel to the Council fleet. This is Admiral Chen, watch and learn. The Veil Commander responded, their psychic voice trembling. Our combined fleet is ready to support you. Support? Sarah almost laughed. No, you're here to observe. Your weapons are useless against them. Just try not to get in our way. The Kronari Admiral's grinding voice cut in. You arrogant primitives. We have been fighting wars since before your species discovered fire. Yes, and you fight them all the same way you did 10,000 years ago. Sarah pulled up tactical displays. The Devourers know your strategies. They've consumed 12 civilizations that fought exactly like you do, but they've never faced humans. She turned to her crew. Launch the Maze Makers. Small human drones, no bigger than shuttles, shot toward the Devourer fleet. They didn't attack. Instead, they started folding space around the enemy ships. Not to trap them, but to confuse them. Suddenly, the Devourers found that moving forward took them backward. Turning left made them go up. Space itself became a puzzle with no solution. Dimensional submarines engage, Sarah ordered. Human ships disappeared from normal space, diving into dimensions the Council couldn't even detect. They surfaced inside the Devourer ship's shields, delivered packets of reality distortion bombs, and vanished again before the enemy could react. The bombs didn't explode. They convinced portions of the Devourer ships that they existed in a different timeline, one where the ships had never been built. Pieces of the enemy vessels simply vanished, not destroyed but historically erased. The swarm watched through thousands of eyes. This is impossible. You cannot simply delete matter from existence. We're not deleting it, Commander Park explained over the comm. We're having a philosophical argument with it about whether it ever existed. We're very persuasive, the Devourers adapted quickly. They released waves of strange matter conversion that spread in all directions. The human fleet responded by activating probability shields. The conversion waves hit the shields and became uncertain about what they were supposed to convert. Half the waves decided they had already converted everything and stopped. The other half forgot what they were doing and dissipated. But the Devourers were learning. They started predicting where the human ships would emerge from dimensional jumps. They began to understand the maze of twisted space. They're adapting faster than expected, Park warned. Sarah nodded. Time for the consciousness bomb. Are you sure? We've never tested it in actual combat. That's what makes it fun. The UNS Paradox opened a portal not through space, but through thought itself. Every human in the fleet linked their consciousness and projected it as a weapon. Not to attack the Devourer ships, but to attack the idea of them. The Council fleet watched in awe and terror, as reality itself seemed to argue with the existence of the Devourers. The enemy ships flickered, becoming less real with each second. They tried to consume matter to stabilize themselves, but the matter wasn't sure the Devourers existed to feed. What are you doing? The archive demanded, its calculations failing to understand. We're gaslighting reality, Sarah said simply. Convince the universe something isn't real, and it stops being real. 3 Devourer ships collapsed into probability foam, neither existing nor not existing, trapped in an eternal maybe. But 14 remained, and they were angry now. They merged into larger forms, becoming massive creatures of living hunger. The merged Devourers did something new. They started consuming space itself, creating expanding voids of nothingness, not black holes but places where existence simply wasn't. Pull back, Sarah ordered. The human fleet retreated but kept firing their reality-warping weapons. The Etherian commander gasped. They're heading for the Council core worlds. You're failing. We're not failing. We're teaching them. Sarah smiled coldly. Every adaptation they make, we learn from. Every strategy they develop, we counter. This isn't just a battle. It's evolution in real time. She turned to her quantum communications officer. Send the signal to Earth. Begin Project Mirror. Project Mirror authorized. Initiating. Back in Sol system, humanity's true weapon activated. The Dyson sphere they'd built in 17 dimensions began to pulse. It sent out waves not of energy but of possibility. The waves spread faster than light, faster than thought, reaching the battle in seconds. When the waves hit the Devourers, something strange happened. The creatures found themselves facing exact copies of themselves but made of anti-strange matter. The copies attacked with perfect precision, knowing every move the originals would make. You created anti-devourers? The Veil asked in shock. Not created. Reflected. Sarah watched as original and copy annihilated each other in bursts of pure energy. We convinced the universe that for every devourer, there must be an equal and opposite anti-devourer. Balance in all things, the battle raged for hours. The Council fleet could only watch as humans fought a war that broke every rule they knew. Ships that existed in multiple timelines at once, coordinating attacks across past and future, weapons that killed by making the enemy forget they were alive, shields that worked by being somewhere else when hit. But the cost was high. Human ships were lost, their crews scattered across dimensions. Some humans pushed their enhanced minds too far and burned out, their consciousness spread too thin across reality. The Chronari Admiral spoke with something like respect. Your people die well. We die meaningfully, Sarah corrected. There's a difference. The last two Devourer ships, the largest and oldest, made a final desperate move. They began converting themselves, becoming a singularity of strange matter that would consume everything within a light year. If we can't feed, nothing will exist, their actions seemed to say. Sarah stood straight. All ships formed the paradox formation. The human fleet arranged itself in a pattern that hurt to perceive. Ships in positions that were mutually exclusive, yet all occupied. They created a logical impossibility in spacetime. Fire the contradiction cannon. Every human ship fired at once, but not at the Devourers. They fired at the concept of the attack itself. They shot the idea of shooting. They attacked the notion of attacking. Reality, faced with this paradox, did the only thing it could. It crashed just for a moment in the space around the Devourers. And in that moment of crashed reality, the strange matter singularity couldn't exist because existence itself was undefined. The Devourers vanished. Not destroyed, not converted, just gone. Edited out of reality like a typo in the universe's code. Silence filled the void where the battle had been. Then the Veil spoke. You won. You actually won. We survived, Sarah corrected. The Devourers aren't gone. They're contained in a paradox loop. We'll need to maintain it forever. Forever? Or until we figure out how to fix them. Sarah turned to face the Council fleet commanders. Yes, fix. They're not evil. They're hungry. Maybe we can teach them to eat something else. You would save the creatures that tried to destroy us all? We're human. Saving things that try to destroy us is kind of our thing. Sarah's expression softened slightly. You imprisoned us for 50 years because you feared what we were. But you never asked what we wanted to be. The swarm's 1,000 voices spoke as one. What do you want to be? The guardians you never knew you needed. The chaos that keeps order from becoming stagnation. The violence that protects peace. Sarah looked at each council race in turn. You were right to fear us. But you were wrong about why. You feared we'd conquer you. The truth is we want to protect you, even from yourselves. The battle was over, but the real work was just beginning. The human fleet began deploying stations to maintain the paradox prison. Each station was crewed by humans who existed partially outside normal spacetime. Eternal sentinels watching the caged hunger of the Devourers. As the fleets prepared to return home, the archive made an observation. You could have escaped your prison at any time. You could have conquered us while we were fighting the Devourers. Why didn't you? Admiral Chen's answer carried across all channels. Because that would have been predictable. And if there's one thing humans never want to be, it's predictable. The new council chambers were different. Human architects had worked with each alien species to create something that should have been impossible. A space that was comfortable for everyone. Crystalline structures for the Chronari flowed into mist gardens for the Veil. Gravity shifted seamlessly between zones. The walls showed different things depending on who looked at them and from what dimension. Ambassador Lisa Chen, granddaughter of the legendary Dr. Chen Wei, took her place at the council table. Not as a member, but as something new. The plaque before her read, Shepherd, you still refuse to be a normal member? The Etherean asked, its form rippling with curiosity. Normal members follow rules made 10,000 years ago, Lisa replied. Shepherds protect the flock even from itself. The Veil pulsed uncomfortably. That suggests you see us as sheep. Sheep are peaceful. They graze. They follow patterns, Lisa smiled, until a wolf comes. Then they need something with teeth. It had been 3 years since the Devourer crisis. The galaxy had changed. Young species, previously held back by council restrictions, now looked to humanity as proof that growth didn't have to follow ancient patterns. The Rigelians had started experimenting with dimensional technology. The minor species of the Outer Rim formed their own alliance, with human advisors teaching them to question rather than obey. The chaos spreads, the Chronari complained. Species that remained stable for millennia now seek change. Good, Lisa said. Stability without growth is just decay in slow motion. A hologram appeared in the chamber's center. Admiral Sarah Chen, now older, her hair gray but her eyes still sharp, reported from the Devourer containment zone. The Paradox prison holds, but we've made an interesting discovery. She pulled up data that made the council members recoil. The Devourers aren't invaders. They're antibodies. What? The swarm's 1,000 voices spoke in confusion. The universe has the immune system. When a section of space becomes too ordered, too stagnant, it sends the Devourers to reset things. Sarah let that sink in. Your 10,000 years of enforced stability triggered an immune response. The archive calculated rapidly. That would mean, Lisa interrupted. The universe itself wanted change. And when you wouldn't provide it, it sent the Devourers to force it. But we've contained them, the Veil protested. Yes, in a paradox that requires constant human maintenance. Lisa stood, addressing the full council. We're not your members. We're your immune system now. When you become too rigid, we provide chaos. When chaos threatens, we provide order, balance. The Etherean shifted nervously. You hold our survival hostage. No, we hold your evolution as necessary. Lisa pulled up displays of human colonies spreading across the galaxy. Look at what's happened in 3 years. Trade has increased 300%. New technologies emerge weekly. Art, music, philosophy, all flourishing. And conflict has increased 500%, the Chronari ground out. Conflict drives growth. Comfort drives stagnation. Lisa turned to face them all. You had paradise for 10,000 years. Perfect order. And it nearly killed you all. A new figure entered the chamber. President Martinez of Earth, now in her 80s, but kept vital through human enhancement technology. She moved with the confidence of someone who had faced down the galaxy's greatest powers and won. The human proposal is simple, she announced. We maintain the shepherd role permanently, not as rulers but as the chaos factor, the unpredictable element that keeps the galaxy alive and growing. And if we refuse, the Veil asked, then we leave. We take our dimensional technology, our paradox weapons, our quantum consciousness, and we go. The president's smile was cold. And when the next threat comes, because there's always a next threat, you can face it with your 10,000-year-old strategies. Silence filled the chamber. Then something unexpected happened. The archive, the ancient machine intelligence that had calculated probabilities for eons, laughed. It was a sound like crystals chiming and computers singing. You know what's funny? The archive said. I've run 16 million simulations of what would have happened if we hadn't imprisoned you. In every single one, humanity becomes the dominant species within 300 years. But in only 12% of those simulations does the galaxy survive the next 1,000 years. And now? Lisa asked. Now? With humans as shepherds instead of conquerors? 4.7% survival rate for the next 1,000,000 years. The swarm clicked thoughtfully. You could have conquered us. Why didn't you? President Martinez and Lisa exchanged glances. Then Lisa answered, because conquest is easy. Any species with enough weapons can conquer. But protection, keeping destructive, chaotic, violent impulses in check while still maintaining them for when they're needed. That's hard. That's human. Besides, the president added, we like you all. You're frustrating, hidebound, and sometimes stupid, but you're ours now. Our galaxy to protect. The Veil pulsed with an emotion they rarely showed. Humility. We misjudged you. No, Lisa corrected. You judged us exactly right. We are violent, chaotic, unpredictable, and dangerous. You just didn't realize those were features, not bugs. A young Rigelian ambassador, newly appointed, raised a claw. What about the other humans? The ones who didn't undergo consciousness expansion? They have a choice, the president said. Expand and join the galactic community or remain baseline and stay in the Sol system. About 30% chose to stay baseline. We protect their right to choose. You protect the right of your own species to remain primitive. The Chronari sounded shocked. We protect the right to choose. That's what makes us human. The meeting continued for hours, establishing new protocols, new rights for growing species. new flexibilities and ancient laws. But the real change was deeper. The galaxy had accepted that it needed humanity, not as rulers but as the wild card that kept the game interesting. Later, Lisa stood alone in the observation deck looking out at the stars. Admiral Chen joined her, having traveled through dimensional space to arrive instantly. "Grandfather would be proud," Sarah said. "He knew, didn't he, that this would happen? He calculated it 40 years ago. The Devourers, the Council's fear, our response. All of it." Sarah pulled up an old video message. Dr. Chen Wei appeared, recorded just before his death the previous year. "If you're watching this, then the plan worked. The Council feared human chaos, so we became chaos incarnate, but controlled chaos, purposeful chaos. We became what the galaxy needed us to be, not its conquerors, but its immune system, its evolutionary pressure, its hope for something better than mere survival." The recording continued. "They wanted a galaxy without humans. Instead, they created a galaxy that can't survive without humans. The ultimate paradox. The ultimate human joke on those who would cage us." Lisa laughed, tears in her eyes. "He always did like a good paradox." "Look," Sarah pointed to the stars. New lights were appearing. Ships from a dozen young species heading out to explore, to trade, to grow. Each one carried human advisors, not to control but to teach them to question, to doubt, to hope. "The Council wanted order," Lisa said. "They got chaos. They wanted safety. They got growth. They wanted a galaxy without humans." Sarah grinned. "And now they're desperate to keep us." In the council chambers, the members continued debating, but the decision was already made. The plaque reading Shepherd would remain. Humanity would be the galaxy's guardian, its chaos, its hope. The archive made one final calculation, speaking to the empty chamber after everyone left. Probability of galactic stagnation with human shepherds, 0.003%. Probability of unexpected developments, 97.8%. Probability of survival through adaptation, approaching unity. It paused, processing something that might have been satisfaction. Probability that imprisoning humanity was the best mistake we ever made, 100%. The stars continued their dance, but now they danced to a different rhythm, a human rhythm. Chaotic, violent, beautiful, and alive. The Council had wanted a galaxy without humans. Instead, they got a galaxy that would never be the same because of humans. And somewhere in the quantum foam, in dimensions that shouldn't exist, the ghost of Dr. Chen Wei smiled. The paradox was complete.